Once vehicles entered desert conditions, failure was rarely sudden. Heat, dust, and distance reduced mobility one system at a time. During the Second World War, desert warfare exposed the limits of vehicles designed for temperate climates. In these environments, mobility and endurance mattered more than armor or firepower, forcing armies to rethink vehicle design and adaptation. American desert vehicle development prioritized mobility and reliability, focusing on sustained movement across long distances under heat and dust. Willys MB. The Jeep became the most versatile American vehicle in desert operations. Its lightweight, simple mechanics, and adaptability allowed it to operate where heavier vehicles struggled. Desert service highlighted the importance of improved cooling, air filtration, and fuel management, making the Jeep a reliable platform for reconnaissance, liaison, and supply duties. Dodge WC Series. The Dodge WC Series provided a balance between mobility and load capacity. These trucks supported transport, command, and light recovery roles across desert terrain. Their rugged construction and manageable size made them more dependable than heavier trucks on soft sand and rough tracks. GMC CCKW 2.5-ton truck. The GMC CCKW formed the backbone of American desert logistics. Designed to move fuel, ammunition, and supplies over long distances, it proved essential in sustaining operations far from ports and railheads. Desert conditions exposed the need for enhanced filtration and maintenance, but the CCKW's reliability made large-scale movement possible. M2 and M3 half-tracks. American half-tracks combined wheeled steering with rear tracks, offering improved traction in sand compared to standard trucks. In desert service, they supported infantry transport, artillery towing, and command roles. While not immune to sand-related wear, they provided a practical compromise between mobility and protection. M3 Scout Car. The M3 Scout Car was used for reconnaissance and security tasks in desert regions. Its speed and range suited open terrain, though limited off-road performance in deep sand restricted its use to firmer ground and established routes. Early M4 Sherman desert service. Early Sherman tanks saw desert service during the later stages of North African fighting. While not designed specifically for desert warfare, they benefited from lessons learned earlier in the campaign, including improved cooling and filtration, allowing them to operate more reliably than earlier tank designs. Diamond T tank transporters. Heavy transporters such as the Diamond T played a critical role in desert warfare by moving tanks over long distances without excessive wear. This capability preserved armored strength and reduced breakdowns caused by sustained movement in extreme heat. With American approaches established, we can now turn to British forces, whose prolonged desert experience shaped some of the most distinctive vehicles of the campaign. Crusader tank. The Crusader was one of the few tanks developed with desert operations in mind. Its speed suited open terrain, but early versions suffered from cooling and mechanical issues under extreme heat. Despite these flaws, it became a central vehicle of British armored forces during the early desert campaigns. A 13 cruiser tank series. The A-13 series reflected British belief that mobility was essential in desert warfare. While fast, these tanks experienced high mechanical wear in sand and heat, illustrating the limits of lightly armored, high-speed designs in prolonged desert use. Matilda II. The Matilda II proved effective early in North Africa due to its heavy armor, which resisted most Axis anti-tank weapons. However, its slow speed and mechanical strain reduced flexibility, showing that protection alone could not compensate for environmental demands. Valentine tank. The Valentine offered greater mechanical reliability than many British designs. Though slower and lightly armed, its durability made it better suited to extended desert service, where consistent operation mattered more than peak performance. Churchill tank, limited desert use. Early Churchill tanks saw limited desert deployment. Their strong armor contrasted with mechanical complexity and weight, reinforcing the importance of simplicity in extreme climates. Daimler armored car. The Daimler armored car was well suited to desert reconnaissance. Its speed, range, and reliability allowed long patrols across open terrain. making it one of the most effective British wheeled vehicles in the desert. Humber and AEC armored cars. Humber and AEC armored cars supported reconnaissance and security roles. Their wheeled mobility allowed rapid movement on firm ground, though deep sand remained a persistent limitation. Bedford QL and Morris desert trucks. British operations depended heavily on Bedford and Morris trucks adapted for desert service. These vehicles carried fuel, water, and supplies across vast distances, highlighting the central role of logistics in desert warfare. British vehicles reflected lessons learned through sustained desert fighting, balancing mobility with hard-earned reliability. German forces entered the same environment under severe logistical strain, forcing rapid adaptation rather than long-term planning. Panzer III desert service. The Panzer III formed the backbone of German armored units in North Africa. Designed for European conditions, it required extensive adaptation to operate in heat and sand. Cooling systems, air filtration, and maintenance routines were critical to keeping the vehicle operational in desert conditions. Panzer IV, AUSF F1/F2. The Panzer IV became increasingly important in desert fighting as its firepower improved. While mechanically similar to the Panzer III, its heavier weight placed additional strain on engines and suspensions, making reliability a constant concern under desert conditions. Sd.Kfz 251 half-track. The Sd.Kfz 251 provided German forces with a versatile transport and support vehicle. Its tracked rear suspension improved mobility over sand compared to wheeled trucks, allowing it to transport infantry, tow equipment, and support operations across open terrain. Sd.Kfz 222/223 armored cars. These armored cars were used extensively for reconnaissance and security tasks. Their speed and range suited desert patrols, but limited off-road performance in deep sand restricted them to firmer ground and established routes. Opel Blitz desert trucks. The Opel Blitz served as the backbone of German logistics in North Africa. Although vulnerable to sand and heat, its widespread use made it indispensable for moving supplies across long distances. Kübelwagen. The Kübelwagen proved effective in desert conditions due to its lightweight and simple construction. Its reliability and low fuel consumption made it valuable for liaison and utility roles. Sd.Kfz 10 and Sd.Kfz 11 half-tracks. These light and medium half-tracks supported towing and transport roles. Their tracked design improved traction in sand, helping compensate for the limitations of wheeled vehicles in desert terrain. German vehicles reflected constant compromise under supply shortages and harsh operating conditions. Italian forces fought the same desert war with designs shaped by necessity and limited industrial capacity. M11/39 medium tank. The M11/39 was Italy's first attempt at a modern tank for desert warfare. Its hull-mounted main gun limited tactical flexibility and mechanical reliability suffered under heat and sand. Operational use quickly exposed its shortcomings in mobility and protection. M13/40 medium tank. The M13/40 became the most common Italian tank in North Africa. Designed with desert service in mind, it featured better cooling and filtration than earlier models. However, mechanical reliability and armor quality remained persistent weaknesses. M14/41 medium tank. The M14/41 represented a modest improvement over the M13/40 with better engine performance for hot climates. Despite these refinements, desert conditions continued to strain Italian armored units. Autoblinda AB 41. The AB 41 armored car was well suited to desert reconnaissance. Its speed, range, and four-wheel drive allowed effective patrol operations across open terrain. SPA as 37 desert truck. The AS-37 was specifically designed for desert operations, emphasizing range and mobility. Used extensively for transport and reconnaissance, it became one of Italy's most practical desert vehicles. Fiat Dovunque 35. The Dovunque 35 supported logistics and towing roles. Though less specialized, it remained a vital part of Italian desert transport networks. Italian vehicles reflected the challenges of desert warfare under industrial and logistical limits. Across the Commonwealth, several forces adapted existing vehicles to meet the same environmental demands. Commonwealth and Allied miners' Marmon Harrington Armored Car, South Africa. The Marmon Harrington armored car was widely used in desert operations due to its reliability and range. Its wheeled design suited open terrain, making it effective for reconnaissance and security duties across North Africa. Canadian Military Pattern CMP trucks. CMP trucks formed an important part of Allied desert logistics. Their standardized design and rugged construction allowed them to operate reliably over long distances, carrying supplies, fuel, and personnel across harsh terrain. Indian Army desert transports. Indian units relied on adapted British trucks and tractors for desert operations. These vehicles supported supply and transport roles, emphasizing endurance and simplicity rather than specialized design. Australian desert adaptations. Australian forces modified existing vehicles for desert service, focusing on cooling, filtration, and fuel capacity. These adaptations allowed continued operation in environments where unmodified vehicles often failed. Desert operations revealed that vehicle survival depended as much on modification as on original design. Across all forces, engineering solutions emerged to keep vehicles operating in heat, sand, and extreme distance. Desert engineering solutions, sand shields and fender extensions. Sand shields were fitted to tanks and trucks to prevent sand from clogging suspension and track components. These simple additions reduced wear and improved reliability during long desert movements. AIR filtration systems, Volks filters. Enhanced air filters were critical in desert warfare. Systems such as the British Volks filter reduced engine damage caused by fine sand, extending operational life under harsh conditions. Cooling system modifications. Radiators, fan systems, and engine ventilation were frequently modified to cope with extreme heat. Overheating remained a constant threat, making cooling efficiency a decisive factor in vehicle performance. Fuel and water stowage adaptations. Extended range was essential in desert operations. Vehicles were fitted with additional fuel tanks and external water storage, allowing units to operate far from supply bases. Recovery vehicles and bulldozers. Recovery vehicles and bulldozers played a vital role in desert mobility. They extracted bogged-down vehicles, cleared routes, and reduced losses caused by mechanical failure rather than enemy action. Desert warfare exposed limits that no amount of adaptation could fully overcome. Heat, sand, and distance often disabled vehicles before enemy fire ever did. This channel examines military equipment from a technical and historical perspective. New documentaries like this are added regularly. In desert operations, success depended less on firepower and more on whether vehicles could continue moving at all. You can continue with a related documentary using the selection on screen.